broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
Hi, this is Bruce Lipton. I'm on Extreme Health Radio with Justin and Kay, and I just want to say that I so appreciate this opportunity because we have a wonderful show ahead of us.
With all the advances in medical technology today, the key to longevity may be as simple as vitamin C. Discover the power of lipospheric vitamin C at extremehealthradio.com/vitamin C. Are you ready to feel younger and healthier? Harness the healing power of the C. Take control of your health and visit extremehealthradio.com/C, SEA, and use the coupon code JUSTIN, JUSTIN, and get 20% off. Discover the secret to eternal youth. Here we are, Kate, on a gloomy Tuesday afternoon here in California. I'm sure everyone's feeling bad for us, California, with our weather.
It's kind of strange, though.
I know, right?
It's been the weirdest day of summer. It looks like a storm has settled in, and weird day as we had sharks yesterday.
Yeah, we had some massive sharks in the water.
Swimming out and around the pier and in our ocean. They shut down the beaches for a while, and today looks like it's kind of cold out.
Yeah, it's a
weird.
strange, odd Tuesday.
I know.
Very strange. But we are so excited to have Mike Adams from Natural News on the line.
Oh, this is great.
We're going to introduce him in just a moment. We got to do a Tuesday show when we can get Mike on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Incredible guy. So we'll introduce him in just a second. We broadcast live 4 days a week, typically on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So if you guys would like to join our live show and become a part of everything we have going on over here, you could do so at extremehealthradio.com/live at 9 a.m. Pacific. Today's a special day. It's a Tuesday, so we're going to be switching, I could say that, our Tuesday and Wednesday show. So normally it's 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And this is episode 298.
Wow.
With Mr. Mike Adams.
This is great.
Yeah, so if you were looking for any of the show notes or any websites that are mentioned, you can find them all at extremehealthradio.com/298. And if you guys would like to support our show, please visit our sponsors for today's show, Live On Labs and Essence C, if you guys are interested in that. Or you could shop through our Amazon link, extremehealthradio.com/Amazon. All of those help to support our work and keep everything free for you guys, because that's our whole goal, is to just provide free content, a lot like what Mike Adams is doing. Just put stuff out there that's going to help people, and eventually
it comes back to you.
So yeah, if you guys would like to support us through Amazon and or our sponsors, that would be amazing. Today we have Mike Adams, like I said, and if you guys don't know who Mike Adams is, maybe you're new to health.
Right.
But he's a prolific guy, and we're excited to have him on. Naturalnews.com is his website, as well as he's got a few other ones, webseed.com, healthranger.com. He's an outspoken consumer health advocate, award-winning investigative journalist, internet activist. Recently marched against Monsanto, which is really cool to see, as an internet activist, science lab director. And he's the founder and editor of Natural News, which is the internet's most trafficked natural health news website. He's also the creator of counterthink.com, and he's been called the best health and natural products writer on the scene today by Ronnie Cummings, who's the founder of Organic Consumer Association. I want to thank you so much, Mike, for being on the show today.
Well, hi. Thank you both. It's great to join you here. And I was just thinking, you both sound really calm and relaxed. And I'd like to ask you how you do that, because a lot of crazy things happening in our world today, and it's hard to find that calm. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I don't know how I guess we just sort of...
I have to say it started when we ditched our TV.
That's true.
Yeah. We stopped watching the news. The only news we get is your site and a couple other online things. But I tell you, it's good to know what's up and not to really soak it in and let it affect us like it used to, I think.
Yeah.
And the people
Well,
we talk to all the time are amazing.
Do you do any meditative practices, or do you have any practices? Because God knows the stuff that you write about sometimes can be very, very eye-opening.
Yeah, I use Mother Nature to recharge. So I have a daily meditative walk through nature. And that is the time to regenerate, to refocus, to think about what's going on, and sometimes just to open up to inspiration of what the public needs to be focused on, or our readers anyway. What kind of information needs to be shared with people right now. So yeah, I do that. I have a daily exercise routine as well, and I have. In terms of daily diet, I always have an avocado smoothie for breakfast.
I
I've been
love it.
drinking that every morning for, I don't know how many years, maybe 7 or 8 years now. Wow. And so these things keep me going. They're adaptogenic type of activities. We live in an increasingly stressful world, and it's difficult even for people that we perceive as being successful. Look at Robin Williams. Bless his soul, just apparently took his life yesterday or the day before. You look at a person like that, and most people think, well, he's very successful. He's got money. He's got fame. People love him. He's got fans. Even he decided to check out, and it's a sign of how difficult the world can seem to many people.
Yeah, I would imagine your daily health walk. Do you do that walk in the morning before you start the day, or is that something you do midday to kind of take a break?
No, I don't do it in the morning. I tend to do it later in the day, but the time varies a lot. But I also walk with my animals. I have 5 Nigerian dwarf goats that walk with me.
Oh, no way.
Oh,
Yeah, so I go for a goat walk.
you don't hear that every day.
Yeah, no, it's true. And these goats, I don't know if you've ever been around goats or animals like that, but goats are very they're very self-absorbed creatures. They're just looking for leaves to eat,
That's
things to munch on. But it's great to walk with them, and they know the path. And there might be something philosophical in this, but if I step off the path, they will start to cry and get me back on the path.
Oh my gosh, how cute.
Wow.
Yeah, I know with our dog, we have a little dachshund here that she might pipe up here pretty soon and start barking. But I know with our dog, we walk her 3 times a day. And that's one of my things too is, with our website compared to yours, you must have a zillion things and commitments going on. And I feel that stress with our website. I have so much going on. It must be magnified times 10 for you. But for me, getting away from the computer and taking a walk, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's a great way to disconnect. I usually try to ground myself at some point during the walk and not wear any shoes. I don't know. Maybe that helps too.
Idea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if you...
Society today is this whole online realm is really new to human civilization. You got to remember the internet didn't really come online until really about the mid-1990s, so it's only been here really 2 decades. And a lot of the younger internet users out there can't imagine a world before the internet. But before the internet, we used to play in the sandbox and climb trees, and then, we would actually go outside as kids and enjoy the sunshine. Today, I think people are terrified of being outside, and something has really shifted in the way children grow up and the interaction with nature. And I think long term, we're going to have to find a better balance. I think children today suffer from nature deficiency disease, you might call it.
Uh-huh.
They're not getting the sunshine. They're not getting the fresh air. They're not getting that view of the real world and the diversity of it and just the rawness of it. Everything that they're getting is sort of packaged, engineered, delivered to them in the form of video games or television or internet websites or YouTube videos. And that's not reality. That's a distorted packaged view of reality. The real world is outside your door. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then it's funny too, because when you think about it, these same children, they get a lot of their reality, they get it from their little tablets or whatever it is. But then when they do go outside, it's not like they're, excuse me, it's not like they're even going into the woods or something. They're going into a neighborhood that's got, it's very fabricated, isn't it?
It's very artificial.
Yeah, that's right.
People who grow up in cities, and they, well, let me give you an example. I once gave a presentation to high school sophomores about food and where food comes from. And this presentation was given in a city, and I was shocked to discover that those 10th graders did not know where food came from. They thought that a burrito just came into existence as a burrito at the grocery store.
Oh my goodness.
They did not realize that the flour tortilla came from grains that grew out of the dirt in a farm somewhere and then had to be harvested and transported and then processed into, the shape of the burrito shell and so on and so forth. They had no connection with where their food comes from. And to me, this is very concerning, because when we as a culture lose sight of where food comes from and we lose sight of the farmer, then we don't tend to value the miracle, which is food. Think about this idea that Mother Nature has provided us with seeds that if you put in dirt and you give them some moisture and some sunlight, they will produce nutritious, edible food. Now, that's something that the entire realm of modern science has never been able to replicate, not even close. With all the science out there and all the claimed breakthroughs, there's never been any corporation or government or university that's ever created a single blade of grass.
Or yeah, that's amazing. Or a seed or anything that can
exactly
sustain life. Yeah.
And if we lose sight of these miracles, then we don't tend to value where food comes from. One of the things that I notice, being a person who lives on a ranch out in the country, and here we make use of every piece of food. If we don't eat it, well, it goes to the chickens or it goes to the goats. But people who live in cities tend to waste a lot of food. And I notice this when I'm eating at restaurants in the cities. The waste that I see there is extraordinary. And I just want to go to the bus boy and say, give me all that food. I'll take it home and give it to chickens, which the city people would think to be very strange. It's like, what is these poor country people have that?
I know, right?
Take every scrap of rice, But no, it's just this idea of using the resources and honoring where it came from. And that's something that our culture is forgetting.
And I think it goes back to what we were just talking about, doesn't it? With just this disconnect, this radical disconnect from the outside environment to, and also another thing that strikes me as very fascinating too is the cycle of life. And like you live on a ranch, you have chickens. And also not only do kids not know where food comes from, but they sort of get disconnected from the cycle of life, birth and death, and all this connection with their food. I think it's just completely lost, even with kids that live, in neighborhoods and things like that.
Absolutely, that's very true. I know there are children who grow up eating hamburgers who don't even know that a cow has to be killed in order to produce that. I guess they have some notion that you can take a cow and kind of slice off a couple of muscles and send it back out into the field.
Yeah.
It's like hamburger grows on cows in the way apples grow on trees or something. But this is the way children think, because no one's really explained this to them. And life and death, you see it firsthand on a ranch. You deal with it. You deal with it all the time. Dealing with predators. If you raise chickens, there are always predators trying to eat those chickens. Chickens are sort of the country's universal food source for every other animal out there. I remember when our chickens got raided by an owl. And an owl managed to kill like 5 chickens in one night.
Wow. Oh. My goodness.
Yeah, and there are all kinds of birds of prey going after the chickens. There are rat snakes that can get baby chicks when they're small. There are raccoons get the chickens, just a huge number of predators. So if you value life, as I do, you have to understand this dynamic, this web of life, and you have to understand the roles. For example, you can't just go out and just start killing every snake that you see, because the rat snakes eat the rats and the mice and keep those populations under control, which you want. So if you come at this with a very distorted view that all snakes are bad, then you'll end up killing all the snakes and you'll have a rat or mouse population explosion.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The cycle of life. I mean, it's not taught in schools. Kids are connected to it. I have to ask you though, as someone who has naturalnews.com, which is the massive website, and all these different commitments, with you, I'm sure there's a certain amount of demand on your time. So I'm curious, like, how many hours a day do you think you sit in front of the computer? And then with children, it's not that they have the same kind of demands as you do, or as even someone like I do, but they choose to, sit in front of a computer because they're playing games and things like that. But how many hours a day do you sort of invest into your own practice, to your own self and your own health?
Well, for me, there's no dividing line between my work and my life on the ranch. And so I don't have a set schedule, and I don't go, into an office environment. I do a lot of mental work while I'm doing ranch work. So, for example, if I'm changing the oil on the tractor, I'm simultaneously thinking about the news, the current events, what's happening in the world. I might be formulating an idea of a story. I'll be on the computer for a while, and then I'll be off the computer to go do something physical. So I go back and forth all day long. 16-hour days of dealing with ranch animals or trees or wildlife management or just basic farm upkeep. So it's a really unique lifestyle. Not a lot of people are able to structure their day like that, but it works for me, so I do it.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to do that. That's kind of how we do it here. We don't have a set like 5 o'clock we're done. I basically kind of work the whole day, but I'll go to the gym or I'll go for a walk with our dog or sit in the sauna or something like that. But yeah, I'm the same way. If I'm home, I'm usually working, which the last few days I've been kind of overworking, I think. And but I'm sure you have days like that too, where you feel like you've overworked yourself and you feel like you need a little more time off the computer the next day, right?
Well, I think that anyone who finds themselves in a position of public influence is at risk of taking on too much. You have to find balance in your own life, whether you're a radio commentator or a writer or even a healing arts practitioner. This is something that massage therapists and acupuncturists have to keep in mind too, and that is, first, you better take care of yourself. Because if you're not in a place of health and wholeness, then how can you help others heal? How can you practice your art if you're not all together yourself? So we have to have that balance. We want to help the world. We want to help the people. All of us who are in this realm, we are very compassionate people. But there is a boundary that we have to respect in order to maintain our ability to help others. And sometimes you have to be a little bit investing in, or protective of your own time in order to keep yourself in a good place.
Yeah, I agree that work-life balance is definitely something to maintain every single day. And if I go a couple days without doing a walk or doing a gym or sitting in the sauna, like yesterday, the day before, I usually do a little rebounder and sauna session every day. And the last 2 days I haven't done it. And I really feel a difference. It's amazing how you get used to these things,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's right. Your body needs it. Your mind needs it. And the other thing that's important in all this is, and I hope you don't mind me taking the discussion in this direction, but
no.
You got to remember that your brain is fueled biochemically or physically by your blood. That's what fuels your brain. and your brain uses a lot of energy. A lot of blood glucose is consumed by your brain. But also the other things that are in your blood affect your brain performance. So the composition of your blood affects the quality of your awareness and cognition, your ability to think, your ability to be creative. And then what is your blood made of? Well, your blood is made entirely of what you eat, drink, and absorb. Your blood is regenerated constantly. Millions and millions of new red blood cells every day generated right inside your bones, inside your pelvis. It's generating new blood, and it's using the things that you just ate in order to create that blood. So what you eat becomes what you think. There's a very direct connection there. The quality of the food becomes the quality of your thought. And this explains why so many people in our world are suffering from junk thinking or, a very narrow view of realities because they're on a junk food diet. And this is a huge issue for civilization, for the future of society. How can we advance as a society if so many of our people are eating a diet that holds us back?
Yeah, that's a huge question. That's a huge question. I want to explore a little bit of that. Let's take a little break here, because that is a massive thing that most people don't understand. Most people don't make the connection, and maybe they don't make the connection because of their diet to begin with.
Yeah, being held back.
That's something to think about, right?
Right.
Maybe they don't make that connection because of the cheeseburger they just ate. So we're with Mike Adams. This is a great time we're having here with Mike Adams of naturalnews.com. We'll put links to all of his websites. He's got about 1,000 of them, so we'll put links to all of his websites on extremehealthradio.com/298. But Natural News is the main one, and he's just got really great stuff. He wrote an article yesterday about Robin Williams, talking about being on top of it. Within minutes, I feel like, of me learning the news. It was amazing. It was like you already written an article about it. It's awesome. So Mike Adams, naturalnews.com. This is episode 298, and we'll be right back right after this. I wanted to tell you about this really powerful and unique product called the Q Laser. Did you know there's over 2,500 peer-reviewed clinical research studies showing the benefits of low-level laser therapy on the body? We had Dr. Larry Lytle on episode 165 talking all about it. Dr. Lytle, what is the Q Laser?
The Q Laser is a light-delivering device, handheld, rechargeable, that is for lay people and professionals, that works at the cell level of the body to restore energy. Since the body is all composed of cells and the cells are composed of atoms, it's good for any and everything in the body. It is especially beneficial for injuries. It will reduce swelling and inflammation before your eyes. Literally, you can have a sprained ankle and fly the laser, and within 30 minutes you can see that the swelling in the ankle has been reduced. Since all disease is inflammatory, you can assume that same process is working if you have some type of intestinal problem. We have pictures of using a heat instrument to diagnose the intestinal inflammation. We can show that intestinal inflammation is pretty much gone within 3 minutes using the Q1000 laser. It's the number one tool in your medicine cabinet. I have a saying, never leave home without your laser. I have had 3 serious burns, and each time I had my laser with me, I applied the laser immediately after I had the burn. I never even blistered.
Kate and I don't want to be without ours. We've worked out a special deal with Dr. Lytle for all of our listeners. If you'd like to learn more about how the Q Laser can dramatically improve your health, go to extremehealthradio.com/laser. Are you living in the 21st century taking 19th century supplements? Vitamin C pills and powders are often destroyed in the digestive system and passed as waste, never reaching your depleted cells. Lipospheric vitamin C uses a patented encapsulation technology to deliver more without the stomach distress caused by pills and powders. Within minutes, liposomes filled with vitamin C are transported directly into your cells without binders, fillers, sugar, or GMOs. With all the modern advances of medicine and technology, are you throwing away money every morning on inefficient supplements? For under $1 a day, you could experience the power of lipospheric vitamin C. For a real eye-opener, visit extremehealthradio.com/vitamin C.
100 100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
That's it, Kate. Tallahatchie, roll over me.
It has
That's the
to
words.
be. It has to be.
That's what he's saying.
Do you know I woke up the other morning with that song in my head?
Did you really?
It was the first thing when I opened my eyes. I was singing that song going, it has to say Tallahatchie.
It has to say.
Although it sounds really undecipherable, I think that's what he's saying.
But you search it on Google and nothing comes up.
How weird.
That's
Who is
crazy.
this guy?
I have no
One
idea.
day we're going to find out.
One day we'll get an email from him.
I hope so.
That is me singing on that song.
For how many times we've talked about him, wondering who the heck this guy is.
I know, right?
I love it.
That would be synchronicity right there.
You know what? If that ever happens, that'll be a great day.
That'd be a grand day.
I just want to know who he is.
If he's still alive, even.
I hope so.
So this is a great show. We're having an awesome time here with Mike Adams, the editor and founder of naturalnews.com. This is episode 298 on a gloomy day here in Southern California.
But we're not complaining.
We're not complaining. It's a beautiful day.
Right.
Every day is a beautiful day. For reference, today is Tuesday, August 12th, 2014. I'm not sure if we mentioned that before. We do shows 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So if you guys like to join the live show, we're always there at 9 a.m. Pacific. So, Mike, I wanted to ask you, before the break, we kind of talked a little bit about this connection between people's emotions, maybe their depression, like with Robin Williams, or their ability to focus and have synapses in their brains because of the food they eat. And I definitely want to get back into that. But we were talking during the break, and we were curious if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about that Brush with Poverty article that you wrote. I find that to be very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, that article really hit home for a lot of people, and I decided to share that really personal chapter of my life because I was hearing so many people falling into really desperate economic situations. You know, our national economy is not in good shape. In fact, I think a report just came out today showing that wages across the board have dropped 23% since 2008.
Wow.
And I've got friends and family members and fans and readers who are frequently telling me, you know, I'm losing my job, or I'm making less now than I was making 10 years ago. And, you know, how do you do it? How do you get by? And there was this assumption out there that I was this wealthy person who I don't know, somehow always had money. And I don't know where this assumption came from. I came from a very middle class family, and there was a time when I was just out of college that I was really living just on the edge of real poverty. I mean, not knowing how I was going to buy my next meal. And I decided to share that with readers to say, you know, look, no matter where you find yourself, the answer is to assess your skills and experience, enhance them if you can, you know, get an education. It doesn't have to be at a university. It could be a trade skill. Mm-hmm. But upgrade your skills and your value and find innovative ways to market those skills to either employers or to do entrepreneurial type of activities that can earn you an income. Mm. I'm a strong believer that when we find ourselves in difficult situations, we need to take action to alleviate it. We can't just sit back and give in and surrender and do nothing and then try to live off of government subsidies or things like that. Although I know some people do that, and some do it for a short period of time just to get by until something comes along, and that's great. That's what it's there for. But long term, we have to get back on our feet. So I just wanted to share that story with the intention of helping to inspire people to say, look, we've all been there. You know, life is tough, and nothing was ever handed to me on a silver platter. You know, that's for sure. I guess there are some people out there who grew up in a super wealthy family and they got a big trust fund and they never had to work a day in their lives. But that's not most people.
Right.
And that's not me. And I wouldn't even know how to live in that environment.
Yeah, it'd probably ruin you, wouldn't it? And me too.
It would, yeah. I mean, a work ethic is really one of the best attributes that you can develop in yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at natural news. Why are we so, quote, successful in the world? It's because every day for the last 13 years, I've sent out an email newsletter at night. And I've posted stories every day. And I have done this year after year after year with dedication. And it's that consistency that has been one of the big secrets of our success.
Yeah, I love that. I got your email last night as I was preparing for the show. It was so poignant. It was just awesome. I've heard you talk before too about some of the things that you did. You just said a second ago about how you sort of upgraded your skills. I think you originally got into health because I think you had diabetes. Is that correct? And then after that, you started getting on this reading kick where you would read like a book a week or something. Is that right?
Well, I was borderline diabetic. I had hypoglycemia.
Okay.
And I was overweight. I was really in kind of bad shape physically, health wise. But the biggest lesson in all that, I mean, yeah, there was a point where I read hundreds and hundreds of books. I was just devouring nutritional information because it was making a big difference. What I really found, the big takeaway from all of this, is that when you clean up your diet, your ability to learn skyrockets. And this is crucial because this is the life preserver. This is the rescue strategy for so many people who are wondering how can they learn more? How can they get a better education or acquire a new skill? The answer is, believe it or not, change your diet first. Once you clean up your blood and you clean up your brain starts to work better. And the brain that you have between your two ears is a miracle supercomputer. I mean, it's the most miraculous neural network device that the world has ever seen. Nothing in the world of scientific computing or electronics has ever even approached the computing capability of what you hold in your skull right now. But most people's brains are suppressed. They're suppressed by toxic heavy metals in food, by food additives, by the toxins in the personal care products and the cosmetics they put on their skin. People's brains are suppressed. So if you simply unlock and unleash that potential through a healthy diet, you will be able to learn things that you never thought possible. And I experienced this myself in a very dramatic way, the ability to suddenly learn new languages relatively easily.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of languages?
Well, I'm conversationally fluent in Mandarin Chinese, and I learned quite a lot of Spanish when I lived in Ecuador, just picked it up. I haven't practiced it much since then, but I was able to pick it up, and I can converse, in Espanol.
Wow.
But then I was able to learn this laboratory techniques for atomic spectroscopy. This is, PhD level university work. I was able to hire consultants and learn this in a few months and become the lab director. It's something I never thought I would ever do.
I know, right? Never probably thought that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, I was like, chemistry? Forget that. I don't want to learn chemistry. Now I learn chemistry and it makes sense. And I never would have imagined myself doing that. I mean, I fly complex aircraft now. I'm a pilot.
Wow.
And I never imagined myself learning how to operate aircraft.
Isn't that amazing?
These things I'm telling you, when you clean up your diet and your brain works better, you can simply decide to take on a new skill, pursue it, and you can learn it more quickly than you ever thought possible. This is, by the way, this is the key to the success of a nation, is nutrition. If you have the right nutrition and you get the toxins out of the food supply, which takes a lot of political courage because it's the big, powerful corporations that are poisoning us all.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But if you clean up the food supply, you can enhance learning in the school system. You can dramatically reduce national healthcare costs by preventing disease, reducing cancer rates, and so on and so forth, and have a population that is far more productive for a much longer period of time.
I completely agree. And it's funny because, I think that maybe There's reasons why they don't want that happening, but really it doesn't matter if there's a conspiracy for them to do that to us or not. What it seems like all that matters is that we take these decisions personally, right? And then just start either as parents and feeding our children or feeding ourselves. And we just say, I don't really care if there's a conspiracy or not or whatever the thing is. I'm just going to start going the way that you did and start cleaning up my diet, taking away toxins, from my medicine cabinet and all that stuff.
Well, that's a really healthy way to look at it. And it along with that comes the realization that no one in the world has any incentive to keep you healthy other than you. If you think about it, when you're sick, you create revenues for the pharmaceutical industry. You create revenues for the cancer industry. You create profits for hospitals. When you are uninformed, you become a conformist, and the political structure likes you better. They don't like people to question the status quo. So if you stay diseased and unaware, then you actually fit in better in a society that is based on corporate profits and political conformity. But if you decide to be unique, if you decide to be healthy and to rise above the masses, so to speak, in terms of awareness and health, then you are accepting a greater challenge for your life. You will see things differently. You will have a bigger picture view. You will perhaps encounter frustration at some of the ways people are continuing to live in a self-poisoning, self-destructive kind of way. But you will deny the medical system the profits off of your sickness.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. That's huge.
Mike, are you encouraged by what you see now, people's awareness and waking up versus 10 years ago, or?
Kate, that's a really good question. On one hand, I am. I know there's a tremendous awakening taking place.
Yeah.
Whether it's about organic foods or GMO labeling efforts, food transparency,
right.
Nutrition, so many things we've made a lot of progress on. But I'm also, at the same time, very, very concerned that it's not happening quickly enough. And I see so many of these long-term trends of self-destruction by the human race. For example, you're in California. What's California doing right now? Pumping away its water future by drilling into the aquifers. That region of Southern California will have to be evacuated at some point. There will be a wave of human migration. Los Angeles will become a ghost town. It's inevitable. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that. But the water isn't there. And the 60% of the agriculture in the state is irrigated by groundwater. And that groundwater is disappearing rapidly. And it takes centuries for it to be replenished. So do the math, right?
Yeah.
Regions like Southern California, Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, they are currently at a temporary large human density that is only made possible by essentially deficit spending of water resources. And when that deficit spending reaches a critical point of failure, the aquifers are empty, Las Vegas will be evacuated as well. Las Vegas will be a ghost town. You can mark my words on that. It'll take a few decades, but it's coming and it's inevitable. Unless they find a way to create water with a magic wand.
Yeah, unless you can bring Tesla back.
When hamburgers grow on trees.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Unless they, I don't know, maybe they use nuclear power to do ocean desalination plants and then pipe water for 1,000 miles. Yeah. It's maybe, but what would the cost of that be? It would be just unapproachable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing that where the consciousness of people would be if there weren't something like Natural News to help sort of push people's minds and to stretch people's minds. I wonder if we would be very far back or a little bit far back. But in any event, I mean, the amount of information that you guys are publishing and bringing to topic these types of ideas, I think, are waking people up.
Well, that's true, and some people love to be awakened. Some are very resistant to it. Humanity, because we live about, let's say, an average of 70 years, we tend to think in the time span of our lifespan. So humans don't really live that long compared to some other animals. And so our view of planning and thinking tends to be very short term, especially when we're talking about the corporate world, which is focused on the next fiscal quarter. So we don't tend to have a long-term view of what we're doing to the world, how are we going to sustain these activities. There are so many areas in which we are really setting ourselves up for destruction. For example, this recent Ebola outbreak, which itself may or may not be a huge issue, but we've created societies with very high population density combined with widespread immune system suppression because we lead indoor lifestyles. So most people are vitamin D deficient, and vitamin D has an antiviral effect that boosts immune function quite profoundly. That's why vitamin D prevents almost 80% of all cancers. So because we have an indoor lifestyle, high population density, air travel, combined with the ecological destruction that results in the rapid mutation and development of superbugs, viral pandemics. We also have very unhealthy, unsustainable animal ranching practices, or sort of factory animal production of swine and chickens and cattle that produce things like the swine flu or like avian flu. These factors in combination are setting up our world for an eventual pandemic that will be uncontrollable, and it will sweep through the population. So we, humanity, have created the conditions for that through our ecological destruction, or what we call ecocide, through our short-sightedness, through our indoor lifestyles, our abandonment or disconnect with nature, and our consumption of immune-suppressing foods and medicines. So, a lot of people don't think about these things. I think about these things every day. And because I want humanity to wake up and change for the better, so that there is less suffering and less death, and we can be a healthier civilization.
Yeah. I think that's just imperative. And it's interesting that you talked about that too. Is like we're creating the very thing that we're afraid of, because it's we're suppressing our immune systems, and then we're living in such tight quarters like this.
Just the perfect storm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a perfect storm. We're with Mike Adams. This is episode 298. We're going to take a little bit of a break right now, but I just want to let you guys know, upcoming on our show schedule, tomorrow we have Daniel Vitalis. Then on Friday, we have our Free For All Friday show, where Kate and I just kind of rap about...
Ramble.
We don't rap.
No, we don't.
We don't rap. We're not good rappers. But and then we have on Monday Ron Becker from Newport Float Therapy. We're going to be talking about flotation tanks and sensory deprivation, which we just thought was awesome.
That was a really interesting experience.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Dr. Allison Adams next week about the biological dentistry and mercury fillings and all that good stuff. So if you guys would like to stay up to date with our show, you can do so by signing up to our newsletter list. And we'll be right back right after this break.
If you are currently using any hair care products that contain dyes or colorings, these things can be carcinogenic. You see, anything we put on our skin, even in the shower, gets into our bloodstream and causes a toxic overload to our organs over time. That's why we only recommend Morocco Method hair care products, because they're 100% chemical free, 100% organic, raw, vegan, and even wild crafted and picked according to the lunar cycles. Listen to what our guest Anthony Morocco says about foaming agents in the shampoos.
Well, number one with hair care is the sodium lauryl sulfate, which is the foaming agent, which is really carcinogenic, and it's very, very toxic. So that's number one. And so they're so afraid of it. The industry has made 38 different names for it. They've created cocamide, they've created coconut, they've created palm oil. But anything that foams is sodium lauryl sulfate. So I would say that you really need to read your ingredient lists. And if you cannot pronounce the word, it's made in a laboratory.
So would even organic hair care products that foam, would those be damaging as well?
Yes. Organic really today is not what it used to be. So it's just the word. word. It really, to me, is not reality. If you want a real product, you want to look at Wildcraft.
As a former hairstylist, I love Anthony's products. If you'd like to have truly healthy and luxurious hair, no matter what your texture, go to extremehealthradio.com/mm for Morocco Method or see it in our store. Again, that's extremehealthradio.com/mm to learn even more.
Feel younger and feel healthier. Harness the power of the sea through S&C, delivering you whole body wellness. S&C supplements are specifically formulated using active sea-based minerals at levels that correspond directly to the nutritional makeup of the human body. The unique and original S&C product line is enhanced by the legendary Dr. Ron Kusan's proprietary processing technology, increasing the efficiency and speed of nutrient delivery into our system. Achieve optimal hydration and mineral balance, decalcify the body to provide rapid relief from chronic diseases and ailments like inflammation and digestive dysfunctions. S&C is a life-restoring solution to ensure optimal health and wellness. Visit extremehealthradio.com/C, SEA today and discover the secret to eternal youth. If you enter the coupon code JUSTIN, JUSTIN, you'll get a 20% discount on all orders for a limited time. So why wait to be well? Go to extremehealthradio.com/C.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
This kind of sounds like Southern music, doesn't it? A little bit?
I don't know.
This would work in Austin, wouldn't it?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe not. Who knows?
I don't know. I do listen to country only, and this doesn't sound very country to me.
You are so Texan. Yet another
That's right.
life, you're a Texan.
I didn't, but one more reason after talking about what's going on with California to head over to the Texas
Area.
great area.
That's true.
We have Miss Ashley in the chat room who joined us a while ago, and she says, love Mike Adams, another fellow Austinite. Dang, Texans really do pump out some good folks.
Don't they?
And I wrote, you're absolutely right. I'm surprised we're not from there.
I know,
Just
right?
kidding.
You know, it's funny. The other day, I told you about this, Kate. Yesterday, I went to to the hospital with my dad, not to just a doctor's visit, because he has got some muscle atrophy in his shoulder area and losing a little bit of weight there. And so they were curious, you know, as to what was going on. And so I have to say, I'm going to talk a little bit about this on our Friday show. Just going into the doctor's office, the amount of information that you get from a typical doctor and the amount of hope that they give you, it's so sad when I see all these people walking around that have never taken care of themselves. And then in the end, they're looking to a medical doctor to help them with their health. And I don't know, I just got re-motivated to make sure that we, every single day, you know, take care of ourselves. And Mike, I'm sure you've seen this. I'm sure you've been to regular doctors throughout your life, and it's kind of a good wake-up call, isn't it?
Well, you bring up a really key point here in an area where we need to grow up and mature as a society. Today, I would consider our views on health to be very juvenile or even infantile. We act like children who need someone else, an outside authority, to tell us what to do or to take care of our health problems for us. And that's the psychology of a child. Now, when a child grows up and becomes an adult takes responsibility for their own health. And so what we need to do as an entire culture, as a civilization really, is to take the responsibility for the health outcomes that we wish to produce. We have to think about, what I eat affects the results I get. I mean, as simple as that sounds, most people don't really believe that because they don't follow it. They have been taught that cancer, for example, is bad luck, kind of like voodoo. You know, it just happens to you without cause. It's a very strange idea, but that's the idea that the medical system really teaches, because they don't really teach people that you can prevent cancer. You can prevent cancer based on what you eat. They'd rather you keep eating all the processed foods, junk foods, and then just someday you're diagnosed with cancer, and then boom, now you're a high profit patient. they might be able to bill the insurance company or Medicare or Medicaid $500,000 for your cancer treatment. So there's really no incentive to teach people to prevent cancer and to think about taking responsibility for their own health. So there are many people in society who do take responsibility. Those are the true adults. And probably that's almost all of your listeners, because they listen to your show. They're getting information. They're applying it in their own lives. They are working to make a better future for themselves by making informed, intelligent decisions about what they eat and exercise and avoiding toxic chemicals and things like that.
Yeah,
that's society-wide.
Yeah, it's a whole protocol. It's a whole life overhaul that people have to overcome. And it's just so fascinating because when we were sitting there yesterday at the doctor, I hadn't been to a regular doctor in a long time. And I tell you, I have to say it was really good. It was just really good for me to see what the average American is going through when they go to the doctor. And it was interesting because he was saying that they don't know what's causing it. They don't know where it came from. They don't know how to treat it. They don't even know what it is. They don't know the diagnosis of it. But he did say that nutrition and exercise definitely would not help in this situation. And I just couldn't help but laugh. It was so amazing.
Wow. Well, you got to remember, doctors, mostly they get into medicine for the right reasons. They want to help people. But the medical schools don't teach nutrition. And it is still widely believed that foods, in the medical system, and even by the FDA, that foods have no ability to prevent disease. It's absurd.
Wow.
Foods are loaded with medicine. There are anti-cancer nutrients in celery and oranges and lemons and broccoli, all kinds of things. Even in red wine, there's resveratrol.
Yeah.
So there's anti-cancer medicine all over the place in the food supply. And yet we have a medical system that still fails to recognize that simple fundamental truth.
They don't even teach it.
How far behind they are.
Yeah, they don't even teach it. And I have to ask you, sort of rounding out the show, you mentioned a few minutes ago about your labs. Tell us about your labs, because you've been putting out some really great information. One recently that affected us directly was the One World Way piece that you did, because we're big fans of that, and we're kind of now trying to figure out what's going on with that. But tell us a little bit about your labs.
Well, our lab is set up with an atomic spectroscopy instrument. It's called an ICP-MS, inductively coupled plasma. And this is the same instrument used by universities and the FDA to assess the quantitative or the concentration of elements, including heavy metals, in food or water or things like that. So I can take a food sample and I can basically put it into the instrument. I'm simplifying this, but the instrument will detect how much lead is in it, 1 part per million, 5 parts per million, whatever. Or cadmium, arsenic. I've even tested for various isotopes of elements with radioactive isotopes such as cesium, uranium, strontium. And using this, I found a lot of shocking things. I found, for example, the ginkgo biloba herbs imported from China are heavily contaminated with lead. I found tungsten contamination in rice protein. We also have identity testing instrumentation where we can put a substance in the machine and it will tell us what that substance is. And so on that whey protein that you mentioned, when we tested it after being alerted about it, we found that it's mostly not protein. It's mostly something else.
Big problem. A little bit of an issue. Yeah.
Big issue. So this research that we're doing, the readers love it, but some people in the natural products industry are horrified of this. Because we are bringing transparency or scrutiny even to the natural products industry, which it really has been lacking. As much as I'm an advocate of the natural products industry, and there are many, many wonderful companies with great products, there are also some products that are not honestly labeled and not honestly formulated. And there are products that are heavily contaminated with toxic heavy metals that are being consumed by expectant mothers, for example.
Wow. How many products are you doing like on an ongoing basis? Do you do a few a month, or how does it work?
That's interesting.
In terms of test or product testing?
Yeah, like, how many different products and reports do you put out maybe per month or per week, or how often do you do it?
It depends. Right now I'm using the lab for a different project. I'm announcing a really big breakthrough I can't say too much about it yet, but I'm announcing something big in 2015 that's going to change the way that people get their nutrition. And I'm really using the lab for that. So I'm not actually testing off-the-shelf products at all at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm heavily involved in lab use with this other project.
Wow.
But I will return to, I've been testing water filters. I'm about halfway through that. And once I finish that, I'm going to release a report on which water filters actually remove lead and cadmium and mercury and so on. And so far, I can tell you, I found one popular gravity water filter that does actually release lead for the first few gallons that you run through it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it actually, I spiked the water with lead, and what came out of the filter was more lead than what I put in.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
That's not
Do
good.
you ever have people tell you that, they don't trust how you did the actual testing, and can we see maybe a video of you doing the actual testing to make sure you do it correctly? I imagine people that have products that maybe they're the formulator of these products, they don't necessarily want to go along with your findings, so they might say something like that. Do you ever get into that?
Yeah, actually, it happens every time. I get threatened with lawsuits by companies.
Really?
And they say things like, well, we're going to send our product to our own lab, and if it doesn't come back the same, we're going to sue you. And they never sue because the third-party labs always confirm what we found.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And we've had we're in the process of ISO certification. It's ISO 17025 certification, which once we're certified, our results will be admissible in court as scientific evidence. But we've actually had cases where we are correcting other labs who are using a less accurate procedure called ICP-OES, or optical emission spectroscopy. We're using mass spectroscopy, which is orders of magnitude more accurate. So we've had cases where other outside labs that are already certified would produce erroneous results that were off by a factor of 100, and we would call them and say, your instrument is miscalibrated. You need to rerun this because your cadmium and lead are way off. And they would rerun it, and they would say, gosh, you were right. We had a calibration problem.
Wow.
So we're out there correcting other labs. Our accuracy has been proven again and again by the very companies that we have exposed as having lead in their products.
I love that there's a popular infographic that's going around that I'm actually going to share when we post the show, but it shows a picture of you, and I think it was a quote by you. I can't remember what the actual words were, but it was something to the effect of basically the FDA is not doing this, and so if they're not going to do their job, I'm going to do their job for them. And I thought it was great.
Yeah, well, somebody needs to do this, clearly, and the fact that it is legal to import rice protein from China that's heavily contaminated with toxic heavy metals, slap a certified organic label on it, and sell it in the United States as a super clean organic vegan rice protein.
Wow.
To me, that is unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree.
Consumers are being deceived, and I took this information to Whole Foods and urged them to take action to pull these products off their shelves, and they refused to do so.
Really?
Amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Whole Foods is knowingly selling contaminated products to their customers and refusing to take any action to stop that.
Wow.
So that's just, again, I tend to uncover a lot of issues that make some people uncomfortable because they don't want to know that when they go to Whole Foods, the product that they're buying on the shelf may actually be poisoning them.
Yeah, people don't want to know that. Yeah, I can see that.
No, they want to have this fairy tale delusion that when they walk into Whole Foods, that everything there is non-GMO and organic and clean. Well, it's nonsense. Go to the buffet, the food bar. Is a genetically modified canola oil in half the products there.
Yeah.
That's
Oh man.
but it doesn't mean it's really healthy.
So, Mike, wrapping up, how do you, with all these findings, and probably just about as much or more than anyone out there, how do you stay positive about all this stuff? You seem like a positive guy, but yet you know too much. So how do you kind of stay grounded?
Yeah, that's a big question. Well, I'm an optimist about the future of humanity.
Are you?
I'm also a realist about the problems that we're facing. So I have a close connection with nature.
Yeah.
And I know that humanity has amazing potential, and I believe in the divine. I believe there's more to life than just the physical. So I believe that humanity will survive and will move on, but we have a lot of learning and growing up to go through.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there will be suffering, there will be unnecessary death and disease that will take place before humanity learns these important lessons. My goal is to simply help as many people as possible wake up as soon as possible,
Yeah.
and avoid unnecessary suffering and disease. Be healthy, be happy, but be aware. And it's a tricky balance. Most people who are just happy for no reason they've shut themselves off from the information of the world willfully by a decision. So ignorance is bliss, and I respect that position. Some people find a lot of success with that, but that's not my position. My position is to be informed, be aware, and then find reason for genuine optimism for our future.
I love that.
Well
Basically,
put.
be informed and aware. That's really critical. But then also making a practice and sort of forging your own way of finding that peace and happiness, because the information is alternative to that. But I think it's really critical. And people want to find out more about the labs. I know you've done a bunch of really great videos on YouTube on Dr. Oz's show. If they sign up to your newsletter or follow you on Facebook, do you post the lab reports on there?
Yes, we announce our lab findings to the email newsletter. You can also go to labs.naturalnews.com, and I've posted a couple of dozen videos there that show me in the lab explaining how the laboratory works for anyone who wants to see that. There's even a video there how I found tungsten in brown rice protein by detecting the oxides of tungsten, which have an overlay of the isotopic masses of mercury isotopes. So if you know, for those who are technically minded and want to know how I discovered tungsten, I explain it all right there.
That's so cool. Labs.naturalnews.com.
Yeah, exactly. And some of it's layman's and some of it's more technical. But it's all there for you to watch and enjoy.
I got to ask you, how many articles do you know how many articles get published on your website every day? It's just a massive amount, isn't it?
It's 15.
Oh, I thought it was more than that. 15. That's so.
Phew.
I mean, you go to your site and there's got to be, it looks like there's 20,000 articles. How many articles do you have? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's at least 20,000, but it's 15 new original articles each day on the main site. And then we have the blogs site, which is probably 20 to 30 blog posts each day from hundreds of different authors. So there's a lot of content that's definitely true. Our blogs site, which is blogs.naturalnews.com, it's been called the Huffington Post of natural health. We don't have any endorsement from Huffington Post, by the way, but that's what it's called.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like that, hundreds of different authors. They have their own pages and they post their own articles.
That's so cool. And people, what I do oftentimes if I'm dealing with indigestion or something, what I often do is go on there and just type that in, and you have a ton of articles that come up for different health ailments. Yes,
we have the content on the site has been internally indexed with over 57,000 terms, including names of diseases, names of nutrients, just about anything you can think of. Normally, if you have a question about an ailment or a nutrient or a plant, you can usually find it mentioned on Natural News.
Yeah, you've been the go-to. If I had $1 for every time Justin told me in the last 5 years, if I complained about something, go on Natural News, type it in the box. And it is so helpful, Mike. You're just rocking it. It's amazing.
Well, thank you. And thank you both for what you're doing and for the invitation to join your show today. I really enjoy.
It's an honor.
You're so welcome. Hold on the line really quick. We're going to close out our live show. I just want to thank everybody for joining us on the live show. We really appreciate it. This was episode 298. Is that correct, Kate?
Yep, you got it.
298, and we'll be posting this very, very soon. So I want to thank all of you guys for being in the chat room. All our Texan friends, right?
Oh, they love it.
In the chat room. So we appreciate all you guys.
Love you guys.
A lot of fun. So thank you so much for joining us on the live show. And we'll be back with Daniel Vitalis tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Not tomorrow, Thursday.
Oh, that's right, Thursday. Yep. We'll be back on Thursday at 9 a.m. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Oh, my gosh. I'm still laughing at Mike Adams.
My mouth hurts.
we just got off the air with him, and he recorded a little intro for us, and he was going to do it different animated voices.
A farmer with no teeth.
Farmer Bob.
Talking about goats eating his pants.
Oh, my gosh.
I have to say, I am so jealous of that goat walk he does.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Were you not jealous of the goats?
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't really think that I'm jealous of the goats, but I just thought, what an awesome thing he's done.
I don't think I'm jealous of the goats either. It was the way he described the story about how he takes those walks. I mean, talk about a meandering. I mean, it sounds like such a neat walk he goes on where goats just kind of follow and they just kind of make sure they're all together. It's kind of like the herd mentality, and they're looking out for him. If he goes off wandering, they'll kind of cry for him.
Right.
I mean, that warmed my heart, and I thought, he does have a true connection to nature, the kind of connection he's talking about, how people have broken away from. And that, I think that's what, I mean, he seems so grounded. It's got to be one of the things that keeps him grounded. You know what? It's amazing that he goes about living his life. Like, he loves the ranch life, you can tell. And yet he's still working at the same time. And that's kind of like how I feel about you and I when we go about our day. We might be doing something that we love and get lost in it, but our brain's always thinking of a way that, thinking about health-related things, or how
we can help people,
or what the very act of what we're doing is caring for the world so that it can change something that changes something else. I mean, it is all interconnected. Like he was saying, there aren't a lot of, it's kind of a blurred line between work and health because it is all one. It is. When you're loving what you do, and you can tell he truly loves what he does, it's just a blurred line, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of times people say, especially if you work at home, a lot of people will say, well, you have to have this clear, defined work-life balance. And I know it depends on what kind of work you do, what kind of person you are, what kind of family you have, what kind of time commitments you have, all these different things. But when you have a job like we do, we don't really consider this a job or work. It's so much fun to be able to do what we're doing. And when you love what you're doing, and you know that what you're doing, it's one thing to love what you're doing, and that's great. But you could be, you could love what you're doing and make atomic bombs.
Right.
You could love what you're doing and make things that are going to kill people. And so when you love
tungsten brown rice protein or whatever that was.
Yeah, when you love what you're doing, and what you're doing, is helping improve people's lives, there becomes less of a boundary of what of the clear, defined spaces in your life where you work and you play. It sort of all blends together. I know it does for us, like you were just saying.
Yeah. I was surprised to hear him say that as much as he did, because, he's running the hugest, how did you say it, the biggest natural news website ever. Yeah. Clearly it stands out above everything else. I'm surprised. Usually guys like that are doing, so much and have such a high volume of things going on, they have to have this is what I do here, and then I set aside this, and then to make things happen, and he just sounds like he cruises. I'm not saying he doesn't work so hard, but he cruises in his life, and this adds, and it sounds like he spends enough time in the lab because he wants to. He's out doing his tractors because he wants to. He's off on his goat walks because he wants to. He's caring for his chickens because he wants to. And yet everything is working for him because he's living in his purpose. And I think that is so awesome.
That's just amazing. And for a guy like him, I'm going to read his article because I just started reading it before the show, actually last night when I was reading about, what was the name of the article? It was his brush with poverty.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so cool because a lot of people think, like he said, here's Mike Adams. He's an editor of Natural News. You look at Natural News, and it doesn't take you more than half a second to realize, wow, this isn't just some website someone's making in their garage.
Right.
But that's probably how we started. It's just writing and writing and writing and reading. And so I just think that was just so important for people to hear, because I think people think of a guy like Mike Adams, or maybe, some other website, Mercola or something like that, where you think, I could never do that. But it doesn't have to be something that you aspire to immediately. It's little daily changes. Like he only adds 15 articles to Natural News every day. If you had all day to write, you could write that every day.
Yeah.
But, I just think it was really important for people to hear that. Here's a guy who just, he grew his website, and now his website's helping millions of people. I think he's got 1.3 million followers on Facebook or something crazy that, he should have more. I'm sure that he will just keep growing, especially with his labs and stuff.
I think what I love too is that he didn't grow overnight. You know, he wasn't an overnight sensation. He said he worked at it for a decade. I mean, it was 13 years. Yeah, over a decade.
Yeah.
And look at where he's just like you said, is taking these small baby steps every day that add up to something that changes the world. I mean, literally for the last 5 years, anytime I've had anything pop up, he said, search it on Natural News, and I plug in pancreatitis or I plug in, gallbladder flush or whatever, and just hit it, and you have so many articles come up that are so helpful, especially when you live in the realm that we do, where there's not a lot of, we're really picky about who we trust and whose opinions of,
products,
opinions, anything. I don't know. He's just one that I feel like is the go-to when it's anything important.
I completely agree. And I like what he was saying about upgrading your brain and how nutrition affects your brain, because we didn't really talk about Robin Williams too much, but when I've listened to him before, and I think he was reading like 5 books a week or something crazy when he first started, because he was trying to overcome his own health issues. And as a result of that turned into his ability to write.
Gosh.
And to have something to say. And we all have that. We all have the ability to do that. We all have the ability to grow ourselves no matter what job that we're trying to do. No matter what area of expertise we like to explore, we all have the ability to develop skills that will improve ourselves, that will add more value to the world. No matter if you're a software engineer, if you're a mechanic, you have skills that can be used.
Well, the food connection and the clearing out of the bad foods and adding in the nutrition and being mineralized and being, vitamin pumped up, not deficient in anything. It's amazing what he was talking about, what you're capable of, like not only learning new skills, but learning new skills quickly and having things come to you and setting your mind out and having just not to fight so hard. I feel like before I started eating as clean as I do now, it was more of a fight to even just grab onto your thoughts, because so many thoughts just bounce through your brain. It's just hard to kind of follow that train and ride it out into completion. But yeah, man, the minute I kind of changed my diet, I feel like a big brain fog was lifted, and I'm not speaking languages or playing instruments yet like I would love to, or,
Banjo is coming soon.
Banjo's coming soon.
That's right.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, Texas.
Right, stay tuned, Texas. But it's just part of the connection that that it was so sad, but so laughable with what you were sharing at the beginning about your dad's appointment at the doctor yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's like these doctors have zero ability themselves to even learn new knowledge, really, about the food, mind, body connection. The whole thing is just...
They're just inequipped.
I know.
Ill-equipped, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's really, really sad. And so I'm going to share a lot more in detail about what happened at that doctor's visit. But, with Mike, I just think that he's doing such good stuff. And I would highly suggest signing up to his newsletter list. We get his every night. We get his, like I said on the show, I got his last night. It's so funny because I was preparing for the show that I wasn't sure if it was going to happen today or not. But I wasn't sure if it was today or tomorrow from working with his girl. And in the middle of preparing, I got an email from him with all these links. It was just really cool.
Very apropos, very time appropriate.
Yeah, it kind of goes into a little bit of what Dr. Jockers was talking about, brain health. That was episode 2.
Gosh.
What episode was that?
There, I can find it right here. It was...
Baby Kate, you'll know it.
292.
292?
Baby Kate. Yeah.
Yeah. Supercharge your brain, right? With Dr. Jockers. And, you know what? We didn't really talk about this too much. Maybe we can touch on it more on Friday. But this connection between not only just the ability to learn stuff when you change your diet, like you were saying, with different things, but the ability to open your mind about things and have a less rigid idea about how life really works. The ability to make new neural synapses in your brain that allows neurons to travel through and make new connections and new ideas, and to open your brain. For me, excuse me, it's been, I think, the number one thing that has been instrumental in my ability to have an open mind and to entertain new ideas and to think about things critically from different perspectives.
You think diet, you mean?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Because you're starting to eat foods that have more electricity in them and more vibration, and we're all electrical beings. And I think
I was just reading in depth about that last night in Mind Over Medicine by Lissa Rankin.
Oh, really? What was she saying?
Just about that exact thing, about how we run off electricity, and if you're not keeping the brain, she talks about how much of water makes up our body, how much water makes up our brain, and our brain is electric, our bodies are electric, and if we're not hydrated properly, the electricity conductivity isn't working right, and that's when things misfire, and it causes a myriad of problems. But
how much of our brain is water, did she say?
She said, let's see, our body is over 70%.
Or supposed to be.
Supposed to be, and our brain is over 80.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so for me, it's been not only, for Mike's experience has been that, it allows him to learn things quickly and rapidly. And I'd have to say to some degree that's true with me too. Although maybe our diet's a little bit different. I'm not sure exactly what Mike eats or what he ate when he first overcame his hypoglycemia.
Yeah.
But what I will say for me, at least on a anecdotal level, is that my ability to be open-minded about things, I feel like my awareness has expanded so much, so much personal growth has happened as a result of eating foods that contain electricity, foods that contain minerals that conduct electricity, living foods, a lot of living foods. For me, it's just been a completely life-changing thing.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to me too.
Yeah. Well,
it had to have been the biggest thing.
I mean, the growth, we were just talking about this yesterday when you're cleaning out your closet because of our show with Tisha Morris. On Feng Shui. Like, the growth that you have had in the last couple years has been so incredible to witness. Because,
it's been incredible to live it.
I know. Because you've let go of attachments to things. You've let friends go. You've changed your thoughts about a lot of different ideas.
I let my fears go. I've bust through old barriers. I don't even know who I am sometimes.
Yeah, you're a completely different person. Completely
transformed. So you think that's mostly due to the food? Do you think it's the awareness that I've gained? Like the veil's been lifted and the fogginess has been cleared out a bit of, I
think so.
I think the clearer you see, too, the more your fears can be seen for what they really are, and then that can dissipate a little. So I think it all is pretty...
It's kind of like a snowball effect.
I was going to say it's pretty round. It's pretty circular. It's all connected.
What you eat makes you feel better. It gives you energy, and then it decreases, pain, stomach pain. And, we still deal with some of that, every now and then, probably from the damage that we ate from many years ago. But just overall, you're feeling a lot better. So your digestion works better. You have energy. You have a willingness and a desire to learn things. And so that is a result of food. And what you're learning, you're able to absorb more and to infuse into your being because you have a system that functions better and conducts electricity and neurons better and synapses. And so, and then when you do that, you learn something and your mind expands, and then you want to learn stuff. And then you want to keep reading or listening to something.
Right, and then you get a craving, and there you go.
Yeah, it's just this whole cycle that just transforms your life.
It's
weird,
funny.
Huh?
It's funny what...
Strange. It is so weird.
It is weird. I don't know. It's just funny what transpires. Like, the stuff you just didn't care about, now it's like I can't get enough of. It's something like, at the beginning I thought, okay, well, I know enough about green juice to know that they're good for you. I'll add one in. Well, adding one in for like 2 weeks makes it to where you can't not add one in anymore. It's like
you have to have.
You can't live without it.
It's like drinking solar electricity or something.
Truly, it is. It's like our friend Amy Schuber, when we had her on an episode, she talked about drinking the Kool-Aid. It's like you drink the Kool-Aid and you're never the same again. I mean, it happens on such unexpected levels.
Yeah, it happens subtly in the background, doesn't it? You don't even know it's happening, do you?
No. But then when you're taken out of it, or something comes up that doesn't seem right, whether it be a news story or you're not eating as good as you should, or anything that's kind of sneaks up on you. It's pretty surprising,
Yeah, it's if you're interested in the in-studio interview we did with Amy Schuber, who's a life coach, that was episode 289. But it is surprising because this kind of stuff happens on a subtle level. It happens without you knowing it, and it's like changing the course of your sails and your sailing. If you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean and you just adjust the sails so that you go 1 degree difference, during that whole span of sailing, you're not even going to notice a difference.
Right.
You're not going to notice any difference until you end up where you are.
In Panama.
In
You're supposed to be in Hawaii.
Yeah, until you end up in some.
I'm going to quote you on that.
Place.
You don't know the difference till you end up in Panama.
Till you get where you're going. It's true.
No, it's so true.
Yeah, it's a subtle thing that happens every single day, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just, I find it so strange that food can do that. But when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense that food can do it. But you think on just a real mundane level, how does food doing this, you know? Really strange.
Well, it's the thing that you say often. It's the one foot in front of the other. Sometimes you don't feel like you're making any headway, but if you do that enough, you're going to walk to Canada.
Yeah, you're going to
California. I mean, it's just one step. That's all.
One step at a time.
One step. Whether that means and your favorite thing that I love when you encourage people with their diet, especially to change, is the subtraction by addition. I mean, just add these good things in. Don't be too hard on yourself, but know that is the next step. That is the next step. That's the next one in front. And if you keep doing that, pretty soon other things will be open to you and other things will fall away, and you'll just become really aware, I think, of what's ideal and how you start feeling.
And then you start not craving the bad food anyway.
I think so. I just think it's a natural progression.
Yeah. I mean, God blessed us with the ability to have a finite stomach, which is the most amazing thing, because if we could eat everything, then the subtraction by addition wouldn't work. But
isn't that true?
Yeah, the fact that your stomach can only hold so much is the key here, because you don't have to worry. Don't worry about the Big Mac. Don't worry about all the ice cream or whatever. Just make sure you get that green juice in every day.
Yep.
Focus on that. Do 30 days of not missing one green juice and forget about the rest of your diet. Who cares about the rest of your diet? Just get that green juice in.
And then watch what happens.
And then the next month, do a green juice plus a green smoothie, and then eat pizza, eat ice cream, pasta, whatever else you want. I guarantee you, after a year, you're going to be a different person.
Mm-hmm. You can't help but change.
And then you're going to end up watching conspiracy documentaries and figuring out how they built the pyramids and
who the archons are.
And who the archons are living deep underneath the bowels of Mount Shasta. Whether or not they're spraying chemtrails on us.
And whether or not Southern California and Vegas are even going to exist in 10 years.
That's
I love him. I love him so much, though, how he just talked about at the end I was really interested of how do you stay positive? I mean, he's got to be king of knowledge. He knows way too much to be that happy. But like he was saying at the beginning, it's not a false, anybody who kind of goes through life oblivion is usually because they've taken themselves completely out of the game and they're living in that space. And he doesn't fault them for that. And he said, that's great if that's how you need to get through the world, because the world is so gnarly now.
It is.
If that's how people need to survive, then that's great. But I just find him so interesting and amazing that he can be fully immersed in each world and still
be balanced,
keep that level.
Yeah.
And I do think it is because he's ultimately connected to nature, and he said he believes that in the divine and that there is something bigger, and so there's always hope. And man, is he doing a great job to spread the world the hope that it's lacking, because we'd be up a creek without people like him.
Yeah, it's possible to just go and get super into all these negative things. And I suspect that his diet and his protocols that he does for living a healthy life prevent him from going down this downward spiral. Because you're talking about possible conspiracy theories, possible ending of, collapsing of certain parts of civilizations and
pandemics and epidemics.
The money system, the pandemics, all these seemingly negative things.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that he's able to keep a positive outlook on life, and I think that's completely attributable to his diet, how he lives, the fact that he's doing something he loves to do, and his, I guess, spiritual or health related practices, because you have to do those things if you want to have any kind of balance, unless you want to be some raving lunatic who's going to be depressed and sad and angry and fighting, marching against all these different things. That kind of energy is not going to get you where you need to be.
Right.
And so you have to go for
it. It usually gets you the opposite of where you want to be.
Yeah.
It puts you in Panama.
It puts you in Panama. It does. Not Hawaii. Definitely not Hawaii.
No.
So you got to do your Qigong. You got to do your working out and things like that, and getting out, exercising.
I'm going to daily, when I talk about doing my own walk for myself, I'm going to call it my goat walk.
Are you going to call it your goat walk?
Yeah, I am. he inspired me. I'm going to go on my goat walk.
Your imaginary goats?
Yeah, my imaginary goats. It's just me and nature. And even though we're in zero kind of a environment to have goats, I'm just going to call it my goat walk. And
I love it.
And make it about me and nature. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
I bet people at the beach, if I actually had goats, would freak out because they don't see that on the beach trail very often.
What's that lady doing with a goat?
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be awesome.
Or a llama. I'll take any kind of farm animal.
I know, right?
Yeah. Maggie wouldn't be too happy about that.
No, she might not like that. Well, this is a wrap, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This was episode 298. And if you could do us a favor, we are trying to grow our listenership, but grow so that we can help more people. And we just feel like there's so many people in the world that needs to hear about people like Mike Adams, our shows where we feature people like him. And so a really great way I'm learning, people have said, is to write a review in iTunes. So if you guys can do that, it would be a free way where you could support us, give us a rating, and hopefully it's something good. But just give us an honest rating in iTunes. And if you like what we're doing, we'd be so appreciative of that. And it would just be a great way to help spread the word. And also, you can share the show with your friends on Facebook or Twitter. We'd be so greatly appreciative of that. That really are two really great free things you could do. Signing up to our newsletter as well. You could do that. That would help as well. Stay up to date with all of our shows. And then all of our shows, like I said, are free on the show. This is our 298th episode. So if you guys could support us financially, if you're able to, we accept donations. All of our shows are free, like I said, and we work for you guys. And for us to continue doing the show for free, we have to obviously make enough money so we can pay for all the software and things like that.
Yeah. And to just keep the lights on, keep the ball rolling, and we have to constantly invest in new software and programs. And
we just bought a new software piece last night that will allow us to. We reach out to a lot of guests, and what happens is that maybe they don't get our email, or it slips through the cracks, and so
or they say to catch up with them later because they're too involved in book writing or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and so we just invested, and so a lot of times I forget about certain guests because I just forget that we do so much emailing. So we just invested in a monthly software piece that will help us to remind us that we contacted certain guests. So there's just a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes here. So if you guys can support us with a donation, that'd be incredible. We also have a store with lots of great products like our saunas and rebounders, Qigong courses and things. And then another great way too is through Amazon. So if you'd like to just stay cheap and support us free, write us a review on iTunes and pass it on to your friends.
We'd be so stoked. We love you guys. Thank you for making it possible. And we're getting people like Mike Adams on the show. It's just
so appreciative.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. That was episode 298. We're going to take off here and make a smoothie. What are you going to do, Kate?
I'm going to walk my goats.
Are you going to walk your goats?
I'm going to do my goat walk.
It's like the Million Man March.
Right?
the Million Goat March.
Oh, brother.
Oh, man. All right, everybody.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
And we will catch you guys on the next episode.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends.
Yes.
This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
I love my dad's laugh.
It never gets old.
Does it?
I sound like some creepy kind of little troll.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
We've never explained that, have we?
But our mission does not end.
Are we on right
now?
We're on.
Oh, brother.
Justin and Kate will be
I think
back
on Friday
with
we
another
should.
interview packed full of ideas,
People are going to wonder. I think we lost it.
ways to regain
Fell
your
off the...
health.
Head on over to
bandwagon.
extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly
Turn
download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No information on
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease.
You
nor
try
an
to
attempt
do it.
prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions,
I'm
it
not
can
a
be
medical
dangerous to take
doctor, nor
action
do I
based on
condone
any